Take your seats and we'll get our program started for this evening. Thank you for joining us. It's my pleasure and privilege to invite Cantor Ellen Sussman to lead us in the national anthem. I would ask you to please rise.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave? Please be seated.
It is my privilege to call on Rabbi Moshe Rahem to deliver the Dvar Torah. Thanks. I only have the handheld mic tonight. One's not working.
Good evening, everyone. This Shabbat, we begin a new sefer, a new book of the Torah, Sefer Bamidbar, the book of Numbers, which opens with the taking of a census of those males who are of military age. And God commands Moshe to count the heads of all the community of the Israelites by their clans, to reckon them. In Hebrew, the phrase is tifkedu otam, from the Hebrew root pei kuf dalid, to reckon them by their battalions. And Rashi comments on this phrase and says, because of God's love for them, God is continually counting and remembering the Israelites. Similarly, Nachmanides, the 13th century Spanish exegete, follows Rashi in noting how the Hebrew phrase tifkedu otam connotes remembering them for good, keeping track of them. God remembers each and every individual Israelite, not by having Moshe actually count them, but by having Moshe instruct them to redeem their lives with the payment of a half shekel. And then Moses would tally up the money, thereby knowing how many people there are. Implied in Nachmanides' commentary is the notion that one's forbidden to count people directly as if they were objects. And to this day, in an Orthodox shul, if you want to count 10 for a minyan, some people will say not one, not two, not three, or they'll use a verse, Hoshiat amecha v'rechad nachletecha urim v'nasem ad olam. So the 10th person is the word, there are 10 words in that verse, and the 10th person is olam, which means world, right? You are the world to us because you're helping to make the minyan. Rather, people should play an active role. Instead of counting them, they should play an active role through their autonomous donations as a symbol of their involvement with the Jewish community. Through the donation of the half shekel and thereby be counted that way. This is an important distinction between counting people directly as one would count objects and counting their efforts, marking their involvement in communal life through their contributions. For modern Jews, those contributions could be material gifts or the gift of giving of one's time. Actually, the Jewish Bible takes a pretty strong stand on the topic of a national census. Unlike Moshe, we read the story of King David, who tragically brings disaster upon the nation by instructing his army commander Yoav to go and count and number the Israelites and Judah. And Yoav at once recognizes that what David's asking him is against God's will. And he asks him, "Why should my Lord King want this?" he says to David. But David ignores him and proceeds to have Yoav and his officers set out to count the people of Israel as one would count objects, and disaster ensues. David recognizes his mistake in counting the people, and he prays to God for forgiveness, but it's too late. God punishes the people by sending pestilence, which kills 70,000 people. There are a few difficult questions regarding this story about David in 2 Samuel chapter 24. First, why does God command David to do what's forbidden, that is, to take a census, as a way of forcing him to do something wrong, as kind of a punishment for some unstated prior offense? Second, why is the entire nation punished? If David sinned, why should 70,000 die on his account? With regard to the first question, although we don't know what David did in order for God to incite him to behave poorly, we do have a parallel story to this in 1 Chronicles chapter 21, where it isn't God that incites David to take the census, but interestingly enough, Satan, or more accurately, some adversary of David's. And this version seems to make more sense. It's the evil impulse that motivates the leader to behave poorly. What was David's sin? Rashi's comment that it is God's job to count the individual Israelites because of his love for them may hint at David's crime. By not seeing each and every Israelite as an individual, but just as a number, by quantifying human beings instead of qualitatively recognizing their uniqueness, David sins. A king of flesh and blood, when faced with an enemy at war, is required to conscript the nation and as a group send them out to war. Their individuality, their uniqueness is glossed over by the communal need. God, the King of Kings, however, can both relate to each and every individual on an I-thou level while simultaneously seeing the people as a whole. While God recognizes each and every individual Israelite in his or her uniqueness, for the political leader David, they're just a number. He can't possibly relate to each one individually due to the threat of the enemy, and that is his sin. But why then should the entire nation suffer as a result of their leader's moral failure? The answer here is simple. They are the ones who chose him. When Louis XIV famously said, "L'État c'est moi," I am the state, he expressed a truth not only of an absolutist monarchy, but of all political leaders, even in democratic regimes. The moment the leader acts, she or he acts on behalf of the nation. The fate of the nation, for good or for bad, rests on the leader's shoulders. If David sins, surely his subjects will suffer. When comparing the leadership of Moses with that of David's, we readily see the difference. Moshe understood that from God's perspective, we're all chosen. We are all, as the Hasidim say, Beni Melech, children of God with individual worth. Moshe understood this, David didn't, until he sinned and was punished. May we be blessed with leaders on the Jewish communal level and on the national level who can hold the values of the individual and the value of the collective as a whole in the same breath. This evening, we recognize and honor individuals. Louis Gaines, Dr. Zach Goldsmith and Hank Butler, we see them as individuals and appreciate their hard work and dedication, but we simultaneously applaud the value and worth of the entire community. For without an appreciation of both, we will not survive our most challenging of times. May we continue to know and be blessed with good leadership on the local Jewish communal level, and God willing, on the national level.
Welcome again, and thank you for joining us tonight to honor our award winners, our volunteers, and our leadership. It's great to see you here this evening, and it's always nice for me to be together with community. Your support and commitment to our community is always appreciated. At the Jewish Federation of the Lehigh Valley, we typically take advantage of the summer months to make plans for our new program year that begins in September. And while plans were underway a year ago, no one could have been prepared for the events that would define this past program year. No one could have imagined the nightmare that would unfold on Shmini Atzeret in Israel, with the massacre taking place on October 7th, and that we are still experiencing 8 months later. After one of the most challenging years in recent memory, the Jewish Federation's annual meeting focuses on our accomplishments, our efforts on behalf of Israel, the fight against anti-Semitism, and an opportunity to look ahead in order to enrich our Jewish community. We are here to educate, advocate, and of course to fundraise. None of this would be possible without your strong support. I thank each of you. Our Federation board and committees worked tirelessly this year to carry out our Federation business. For that, I am also grateful. It would not be possible without the hardworking efforts and dedication of our staff team as well. Our fundraising events, educational programs, communications, marketing, financial oversight would not be as seamless without the commitment of our staff members. A special thank you to each staff member for helping to carry out our work under this year's challenging circumstances. The slogan, as I'm sure you all know at this point, for our annual campaign, Here for Good, is so important because for our community and for people in need, it means the Federation is here to provide resources, strength, and support to help build and sustain flourishing Jewish communities at home and around the world. For us, it means we are the driving force for Jewish communal life in the Lehigh Valley, in Israel, and around the world. We are here for good, and we are not going anywhere. It's my pleasure to call on our president to deliver the president's report, Robbie Wax. It has been an honor to work with him over the last 2 years, and particularly over this past year, especially while it was so challenging. You have to multitask too. You have to hold the mic and look at your notes. And
Thank you, Jerry. As I reflect back to this meeting last year, I identified a number of issues that were important for us to address. Some involved our annual campaign, others focused on community collaboration and developing younger leaders. These objectives seemed reasonable at the time, and then the world changed forever. Since October 7th, we have witnessed a rampant spike in anti-Semitism and anti-Israel sentiment in public schools, on college campuses, and in cities across the country and the world. Unfortunately, we're not immune to these issues here in the Lehigh Valley. In the midst of these concerns, anti-Israel protesters turned their attention to local city councils and advocated for the passage of unilateral ceasefire resolutions condemning Israel. These protesters ignored the atrocities that occurred on October 7th. They failed to acknowledge the hostages being held in Gaza. They present with intentional misstatements and outright lies in an effort to gain the support of politicians. What should we do when faced with this vitriol directed towards our community? Should we just leave it alone, knowing that municipal government has little sway on our international policies? Should we wait until this crisis passes and then reemerge from our homes when it feels safe to do so? As president of our Jewish Federation, my response was and continues to be absolutely not. We must face this threat head on together as an undivided Jewish community. Despite the gang mentality demonstrated by these protesters at these meetings, regardless of the heckling or other poor behavior they demonstrate, our voices must be heard. Several of us from the Jewish Federation began attending the city council meetings in Allentown, Bethlehem, and Easton to oppose these resolutions. Initially, we were surprised by the anger and hatred directed towards us. The anti-Israel crowd was very vocal, spewing inaccurate facts and statements about Israel and the ongoing conflict in Gaza. At each meeting, representatives from our federation made it clear that we were representing more than 8,000 Jews from across the greater Lehigh Valley. Other members of the Jewish community also spoke eloquently and passionately and made strong points in opposition to the anti-Israel crowd. We reminded those who would listen that the hostages remain in captivity and must be returned. We reminded everyone that Hamas is a terrorist organization funded by Iran and is focused on destroying Israel and murdering all of its inhabitants. At the end of the day, did we convince anyone from the anti-Israel crowd? Probably not. However, none of the councils considered a unilateral resolution against Israel. Did our efforts change the course of international affairs? Probably not. But we refused to remain quiet and hidden when our community was challenged, and we will continue to speak the truth in the face of these falsehoods. For those who joined us, we thank you, and we thank you for your ongoing efforts to support Israel and to remain vigilant until all of our hostages are released. For those of you still looking for ways to join this fight, let us know. We need your support. It was a tough year in other ways, too. Our community lost significant leaders. In addition to past President Eva Levitt, whom we learned about at a Yom HaShoah event and through her biography, Evichka, we lost another significant pillar of the community when Bobby Himmel passed away this year. For a glimpse of what Bobby meant to the community, look no further than the name of this JCC. We are meeting tonight on the Himmel campus, which was rededicated in honor of Bobby and his wife, Bonnie, who joins us here tonight. Bobby was well known for his giving nature, together with his positive attitude, especially in the face of tremendous obstacles. He loved engaging in philanthropy and volunteerism without the need for recognition. He was the definition of the word mensch. Bobby was so generous with his time. When the JCC needed leadership, Bobby served for 3 terms as its president. He also served as president and an honorary vice president of the Jewish Federation of the Lehigh Valley and was active in Jewish family service and the Jewish Day School. In addition, he served as president of Temple Beth El and led the fundraising effort to construct its new building. Bobby was also a proud member of Congregation Knesset Israel and Congregation Sons of Israel. I am fortunate to have known and worked with Bobby. We will always remember him fondly, and our entire community will miss him. I'm hopeful we can all experience more joy and less sorrow together in the coming year. If this past year has proven anything, it's that we are stronger together as a community. In closing, I wish to thank members of the board of directors for their service. It's my pleasure to work with such a dedicated group of volunteers. I now ask the staff to stand to be recognized. I thank Jerry, Aaron, and the entire team for their incredible and tireless efforts. This year, we were only successful because of all of you. Thank you.
Thanks very much. Thank you, Robbie. I'd like to call your attention to the screen for a quick year in review. We had a lot going on during the course of this year.
הכוס קפה שלך הזכיר לי הבוקר את הלילה הראשון, הנשיקה שבה עצמתי עיניים, הלב דפק בלי היגיון. את השיער שלך האירה השמש מבעד לתריסים, ב10 במאי 2009 הבאתי לך פרחים. יש לי אותך ואני לא צריך יותר כלום, אני אוהב שאת צוחקת, את מאירה לי את היקום. תגידי מה את מתביישת, מדברים אהבה, רק אני ואת, אני ואת. אחרי שנתיים שסיפק לנו הלילה מוזיקה לטינית, את עם הפרח על האוזן ואני בחליפה שחורה, ואת יפה יותר מכל מדריד ואלוהים יודע כמה שאני אוהב אותך. יש לי אותך ואני לא צריך יותר כלום, אני אוהב שאת צוחקת, את מאירה לי את היקום. תגידי מה את מתביישת, מדברים אהבה, רק אני ואת, אני ואת. יש לי אותך ואני לא צריך יותר כלום, אני אוהב שאת צוחקת, את מאירה לי את היקום. תגידי מה את מתביישת, מדברים אהבה, רק אני ואת, אני ואת. לא צריך יותר כלום, אני אוהב שאת צוחקת, את מאירה לי את היקום. תגידי מה את מתביישת, מדברים אהבה, רק אני ואת, אני ואת. תגידי מה את מתביישת, מדברים אהבה, רק אני ואת, אני ואת. הכוס קפה שלך הזכיר לי הבוקר את הלילה הראשון, הנשיקה שבה עצמתי.
As you can see, our hearts were clearly with Israel this past year, and many of our events revolved around support for Israel and the many projects that we did to help there. It's my pleasure and certainly an honor to call on Vicki Wax, who recently was in Israel and who will share some remarks from her trip. It looked like a very powerful and meaningful experience, and I'm delighted that she was willing to share her perspective.
Hi, I think I know everyone here, and I think everyone knows how I love going to Israel. This was my 15th trip. 13 of them with this federation, and then one that we did with the Wax Fellows. But this one was different. This one was different. And I'm not going to go through an itinerary of 2 weeks, but I can tell you that Israel is such a miracle. This country is like none other. The people of this country are like none other. No matter what they are going through, every place we went, every message was, look at our history, we've been here before, and we will get through this. But the times are tough. We went to witness the atrocities that happened, and there are no words that I could ever say that will describe what we saw. It was totally inhuman. We met with the first responders from Zaka, which are the people that make sure that a body is treated with respect. And the head of the Zaka unit that got there said he had been doing this for 30 years, and he will never, ever get out of his mind what he saw and what they had to do. We were limited as far as going to the north because 80,000 people in the north have been removed from their homes and are living in hotels. We spent an entire day in the south. We went to what used to be the Nova Festival site, which I now call the Nova Gravesite. We went to Mount Herzl Cemetery, to the new section, which is almost full from October 7th. And while we were there, there was a family that had just buried their young son who was in the IDF and was sitting there. And again, there are no words. But on the other hand, there were parts of Israel that just seemed so normal that your head cannot wrap around it. I went with an amazing group of people, 41 strangers. Marcia and Richard Timmerman came on this trip from our community. But we have 41 new friends, people from all over the country that, like me and like the Timmermans, just felt we had to be there. And for 2 days, the first 2 days, our group wasn't meeting yet because it started on Sunday. We had to be in Israel on Friday. Never before did I personally have 2 free days in Israel where I walked everywhere. Never once thought, what if a rocket comes in? What if I have to go? Nothing. Everything seemed so normal and so Jewish. And on the promenade in Tel Aviv, people were dancing and singing and bike riding and swimming. And there's a part of your head that says, is there really a war going on here? How could this be? There were almost no tourists. We did see a number of birthright trips that were there. But my message is that we as a Jewish community, as Rabbi Ra'em said, as last night, as Rabbi Halpern said, as Robbie said, we cannot afford the luxury of pulling each other apart. The Israeli people have stood together now probably like maybe they haven't in decades. There is one object here, to get the hostages home and to rebuild a society where the people can be safe. Through it all, Israeli said, we want a good life for our Palestinian neighbors. But there is very little, if any, trust that that can really happen. Not for a long time. I say, don't be afraid to go. Be proud. I made a promise, which, whether or not you know it, I have included in all of you. The first week after the war, I was with Jerry, and I got a message from my 20-year-old granddaughter who had just come home from Israel after the most wonderful summer. And the message she gave me was from one of her new Israeli friends. And the message said, Samantha, All my friends are dead. They were at the Nova Festival. We are living in hell here, and the world is going to turn against us. Don't let that happen. And my message to Samantha was, I can't speak for the whole world. I can speak for my community and the community that you have come to know. We will not let you down. And that was my message with 41 strangers from around the country. Our community is strong. We will be with Israel. We will be with the Jewish people no matter what, and we will stand together. Thank you.
Vicki, thank you. It's really difficult to have this juxtaposition, as you say, of life going on as normal when so many things feel so not normal. This evening's annual meeting is also intended to be a leadership transition and an opportunity to acknowledge our award winners. For 3 of our board members, their terms of office have come to an end. Scott Dellin served his term and is now complete. Barry Halper, ironically, finished 10 years as immediate past president, which was called on for in our bylaws. But he has actually served the community and our board for about 23 years, which is quite remarkable. And he is looking forward to retiring. So we thank Barry and Scott. And we're very sorry that we'll be losing Eric Fells. Dr. Fells has been on our board and has served well. And he is literally moving out of the community, so will not be able to continue on our board. And we wish him lots of good luck and thank him for all he's done to help us over the years. It's now my privilege to call on my partner in crime, Aaron Gordzinski, who is going to take us into the award part of the ceremony. Thank you. It's all you.
Thank you, everybody. We're now shifting gears from a little solidarity to a little celebration to honor those who have done extraordinary things in our community this year and in past years, and to honor them for their work. The first award that we're presenting today is the Schiff Award. The Schiff Award for Prejudice Reduction was established in 1999 by Vera Schiff to honor and everybody who knew him, Mortimer Schiff, and the memory to the members of the Lehigh Valley Jewish community who are committed to spreading and teaching tolerance by both words and action. And that is exactly what our honoree today does every day in his daily job. Hank Butler is the executive director of the Pennsylvania Jewish Coalition that represents all the Jewish community in our Commonwealth, but he loves the Lehigh Valley the most, and helping us pass essential legislation to fight against bigotry and hate. Hank was instrumental in passing Act 70 in 2014, providing Holocaust, genocide, and human rights violation instruction and funding for all schools in Pennsylvania. As part of his legislative work, Hank has helped us develop and support legislation to deter violent acts inspired by hate, promote religious understanding in school and society, and most importantly, educate elected officials about the issues, concerns, and needs of our Jewish community in our Commonwealth. As part of his yearly work, Hank leads the civil commemoration of the Holocaust ceremony in Harrisburg every year, working with elected officials and the governor's office, and that alone deserves an award, because getting them all to agree on a date is almost impossible. Hank also leads elected official missions to Israel, where we take our state elected officials, most of them on their first mission to Israel, and we hope we'll have another one very soon. And he has been instrumental in passing the state security grant program that every single agency and institution in our community has benefited from, and are now working on helping us pass additional legislation to curb the rise of anti-Semitism and hate in our state. Hank, please join me in accepting the Schiff Award for Prejudice Reduction. And now to Zach. Each year, the Federation seeks nomination for the George Feldman Award for Young Leadership. Among the nominees, the winners are chosen by a committee of past winners of this award, and I am fortunate and humbled tonight to represent the committee, as Rachel Levin couldn't be here because her son is graduating from kindergarten, and that's an appropriate excuse. As this year's recipient and present the Feldman Award to one of our community's brightest and all-around leaders, Zach Goldschmidt, and that was in your nomination, so I didn't make that up. Somebody said it for me, and it was not your wife. Zach arrived in the Lehigh Valley with his wife, Andrea, and I believe 2 of his 3 kids at the time. One hasn't arrived. One wasn't here yet. He immediately got involved in the Jewish communal life, volunteering at our agencies, and attending many of our programs at Federation and at the JCC and in every single other agency. Zach and Andrea became Maimonides members immediately, and Zach eventually was convinced to become president of the Maimonides division in 2022. Zach's vision for the Maimonides Society as he became president was to make it a more diverse and increase the number of women in our society, and also of other members of the healthcare community who don't happen to be doctors. As part of his vision, Zach, in partnership with other members in our community, hosted a Women's in Medicine Symposium that resulted in the recruitment and re-engagement of several medical professionals. He also created new opportunity for all medical professionals to become future speakers at our brunch and learns, and has brought a younger, more diverse crowd to our Maimonides brunches. Zach's passion for maintaining and growing the Maimonides Society for new and established members has resulted in a growing, more diverse, more engaged group that continues to work for the benefit of our community. So it's my honor, privilege, and pleasure to invite Zach to the podium to say a few words.
Thank you, Aaron.
They're going to take a picture first.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you, Aaron. That was an amazing, very generous introduction. Thank you so much. I am so honored and humbled and grateful to receive this recognition. My 10-year-old, Eva, put receiving this award into perspective for me very well when I shared the wonderful news of receiving this year's George Feldman Award for Young Leadership. Her response, which was full of innocence and sincerity, was, "Wait, you're young?" I would like to say a few words and share why this community is so important to me and my family. I grew up during what some commentators have recently termed the golden age of American Jewish life. I was raised in the Philadelphia suburbs on the main line and was truly blessed to have a large group of Jewish friends in my public school and to attend bar and bat mitzvahs seemingly most weekends throughout middle school. The #1 TV show at the time prominently featured a Jewish man. And to me, in my corner of the universe, anti-Semitism seemed to be something of the past. And although we are clearly living in a different world now, I can truly say that I have felt most at home and most connected to a Jewish community when my family and I moved to Allentown in 2015. My wife, Andrea, and I felt and feel very special about the Lehigh Valley, and this fuels our passion for contributing to the growth and energy of this Jewish community. When we were looking for a location to settle towards the end of my medical training, Andrea had the brilliant idea, which was one of many, to make a list of cities that had a JCC. She wisely recognized these institutions as a lighthouse, indicating a certain level of Jewish life within the community. My introduction to Maimonides Society came very quickly and very serendipitously, as we happened to rent our first home in Allentown from none other than Dr. Larry Levitt and Eva Levitt of blessed memory. Andrea and I and our children were welcomed into this community like none other. Although my hometown Jewish community in Wynwood is larger, in my opinion, the per capita investment in Jewish life, in the Federation, in supporting each other as families and individuals, and the wonderful Jewish institutions here in the Valley is far greater. I think it's our modest size that makes us particularly strong, as we do not take our thriving community for granted. What an honor it has been to help lead Maimonides Society for the past 2 years. My goal has been growth, to build upon the deep foundations created by my former landlord, Dr. Larry Levitt, and Dr. Sam Bubb, Mickey Uffberg, Gene Ginsberg, and others who created the very first Maimonides Society in America. So why is growth important for this group, and how does Maimonides Health contribute to the health of our community at large? First, the face of healthcare workers has evolved. We are blessed to have more diversity in healthcare, more physicians who are women, more physician assistants, more nurse practitioners, more nurses, more midwives, more mothers, more fathers who are working in medicine and simultaneously playing a more active role in raising young children, more two-physician families like Andrea and me. And as such, my vision has been to grow the membership and our program offerings to better represent and appeal to the current community of healthcare professionals. And we are still progressing on this journey. We have some work to do. Why is this all important to the community at large? I think we all have the shared dream that this Jewish community remains as or more vibrant in the future for our own children and grandchildren. It is my hope that observing a strong Maimonides group will resonate with another future Jewish healthcare professional who is looking for their family's next home. I'm also proud that Maimonides represents a significant donor group for charitable giving to the Federation. As healthcare is a leading source of employment in the Lehigh Valley, a robust Maimonides will lead to continued growth of this community. I would like to express gratitude and thank a number of very special people. I would like to thank the Feldman family. I have learned that George's nickname was Mr. JCC, which I love. Thank you to the leadership and staff of the Federation. You are all incredible. You are bright and energetic and passionate and professional. Specific thank you to Aaron Godorinsky, my administrative partner for the work of Maimonides. You are an extremely special person. You make this community much stronger. Thank you. And finally, I'd like to thank my wife, Andrea, and our children, Noah, Eva, and Elise, who are all here tonight. Andrea, you are the catalyst and guide for me and our family. I'm so grateful for your love and partnership, and this community is fortunate to have you serving in so many capacities. I'm proud of the example of giving and of service that we have set for our children, and I'm very grateful to the three of you who are here tonight and to raise you in this wonderful community. Thank you all so much. Thanks a lot. Thank you.
Congratulations, Zach. Andrea, I hope you're not too jealous when I share this with you, but Zach also won one of the top 3 Jewish St. Luke's urologists, as handed out by my mom tonight. So, a number of years ago, I sat down with Lou Gaines, and I said to Lou, what would it take for us to earn like a 20% return year over year in our endowment? And he said, Robbie, if you get me the President's Award, I'll make it happen, which I thought was really incredible. So the President's Award, established in 2008, is presented to an individual whose work has been of extraordinary value to our community. In recognition of his long-term and continuous commitment to the Jewish Federation of the Lehigh Valley through his work on our foundation as investment committee chair, we're pleased to recognize Lou for his visionary leadership, reimagining our investment strategies. As a result of Lou's involvement and leadership over the past several years, our endowment returns have consistently and dramatically outperformed the moderate allocation index benchmark for more than 10 years in both up and down markets. As of May 2024, assets totaled a little more than $40 million, of which $17 million was invested on behalf of community agencies. The endowment's long-term returns not only greatly exceeded benchmarks, but also are substantially above the returns of most small and large endowments. With Lou's leadership and guidance, we've experienced gains of $5.6 million above the average moderate risk fund. Lou attributes our community's outperformance to a few things. First, a focus on maintaining target exposure to stocks and not reacting to changes in investor mood and the always volatile economic and political news. Second, periodic reallocation and rebalancing between stocks and bonds to take advantage of both major short-term fluctuations and long-term trends. Third, low advisory fees and a completely indexed equity portfolio. I still think it's because you wanted the award, but Lou, working closely with our investment team at Goldman Sachs, as well as the Endowment Investment Committee, monitors the portfolio carefully. In his quiet but highly effective way, Lou has strengthened our community and our ability to help Israel and others who rely on us. For his significant contribution and efforts to enhance our community profile and goals, I am proud to present Lou with Federation's Special President's Award. Lou, if you could join me at the podium.
I know you always love to be the center of attention and to have the focus on you directly. As everyone knows, that is not a comfort zone. But I did want to share with you a message from Dad, a.k.a. Papa Lou. And Lou is affectionately known as Papa Lou to his family and his grandchildren. In the immediate aftermath of October 7th, Louis and Roberta wrote to their children to share many thoughts, including the following, which was in their own words. I quote them, "We very much hope that you, your children and grandchildren, are not faced with another October 7th, but there will definitely be future threats to the Jewish people. When those threats arrive, we hope that our family's work over the years and our response to October 7th guides you as you decide how best to help secure the safety and the future of the Jewish people." The children wrote in response, "Dad, you and Mom have sacrificed and saved for decades to have the ability today to invest in the future of the Jewish people. Thank you for inspiring us and for leading the way forward here and in Israel. There are not words enough to express how very proud we are to be your family." And some of their family members are here, Jeff, Cheryl, Sarah, as well as their children in Connecticut join in these remarks. And we couldn't be more proud of the work you've done on behalf of the State of Israel. Thank you. Thank you. It's my pleasure to call up Gary Fromer, who will lead us in the official business of our meeting this evening, which is the election of officers and board. Thank you.
We'll be fast. Congratulations to the Goldsmiths and the Gaines on well-earned awards and for sharing the time of your family members with us. So for the business portion of this meeting, I'd like to simultaneously convene the members of the Jewish Federation and the Jewish Federation Board of Directors. We'll dispense with reading of minutes and proceed directly to the election of our Board of Directors and officers. It's my honor to present the work of the nominating committee and to present the nominations for the Federation Board members and move their election to the board. As I call your name, if you're here, please rise and remain standing. Jay Fisher, Brian Ford, Beth Cozen, Naomi Schachter, Ron Tico, Bob Wilson. May I have a second to the motion to appoint them? Vicky Wax. Having this motion made and seconded, all those in favor, please say aye. Anyone opposed? You sure you don't want to oppose? You're good? You're good with this? Okay. Motion has been voted and passed. Mazel tov and congratulations to the newly elected and re-elected Federation board members. I'll now present the nominees for honorary board member. These have not changed. Bob Gray, Nati Lerner, who's the mayor of Yoav, Israel, which is our partnership get-together community, Rita Scheller, and Jean Weiner. May I have a second to this motion? We'll come to this side of the room. Rance Block, thank you. Having this motion made and seconded, all those in favor, please say aye. Any opposed? Motion's been voted and passed. Mazel tov and congratulations to the re-elected honorary board members. Election of officers. Our bylaws call for the Federation officers to be elected by the board of directors. Please allow me to present the nominees for honorary officers of Federation of the Lehigh Valley and move for their election by the board of directors, as very few of them are here. Honorary President Ross Bourne, honorary Vice Presidents Lenny Abrams, Wendy Bourne, Danny Cohen, Barnett Frankel, Murray Goodman, honorary Treasurer Roberto Fishman. May I have a second for this motion? Robbie, are you allowed to second motions, Mr. President? Okay, we'll take it. Motion made and seconded. I direct Federation board members only by a vote stating aye to approve. Anyone? Aye. Any opposed? Motion's been voted and passed. Now the nominees for the constitutional officers of the Jewish Federation of the Lehigh Valley. Treasurer Iris Epstein, Secretary Beth Kozen, Vice Presidents Aliette Abo, Bill Markson, and Lauren Rabin. Bruce Rich and Israel Ziegelboim, and President for one more year at least, Robbie Wax. On behalf of the Federation's Board Nominating Committee, I present this slate of officers for the Board of Directors ratification. May I have a second to this motion from a member of the Board of Directors? Do we have? Rabbi Halpern, thank you. He stood up. He didn't know he was going to do something. Having this motion made and seconded, may I have a vote of the Federation board members by saying aye? Any opposed? Thank you. Motion's been voted and passed. Mazel tov and congratulations to our officers and honorary officers. There being no further business, I hereby adjourn the business portion of this meeting of the Federation Board of Directors and Federation members, and I call on Robbie Wax to give closing remarks. You didn't give enough remarks already today? Jerry's doing the closing remarks. That makes more sense. All right. Thank you very much.
Can always count on Gary, a past president, to get us through the business portion of the meeting quickly and efficiently. And I thank you for chairing our nominating committee. Mazal tov to all of our award winners. We're very proud to bestow these awards. Noah, congratulations. I understand you've lost a tooth this evening. I just want to tell you a quick funny story. My children all felt it was very important to pull their teeth at major family functions because then everyone was obligated to give them a little tooth fairy money. So my kids thought that was the best. You could always count on a big Seder or something for people to lose their teeth. At any rate, Mazal Tov to you too. We wish everyone all the very best at Barrick's graduation this evening. A number of people were not here because they are at Barrick, and we're very pleased that their children have succeeded there. And again, many thanks to you for showing up tonight. It's really been a pleasure to be together with you, and I wish you all a relaxing summer, and I hope to see you at the 2025 program year. Be well. I call on Cantor Ellen Sussman to conclude our program with Hatikva. Please rise.
Kol balevav penima nefesh Yehudi homiya ulfate mizrach kardi Yerushalayim. Liot HaMachofshi,